In this lesson, we're going to be looking at marketing, which is the other big piece of the puzzle that I see unfortunately neglected, or neglected at least initially. The misunderstanding is that marketing happens after product development, and that is not the way to do it. Marketing should be happening concurrently with product development. Marketing can be split into two main functions, and that's reach. So reaching lots of people, making them aware of your product. That's one aspect of marketing. But the second, and perhaps the more important, once you reach customers, then the next step is you have to build trust with them. All business, all purchases, all buying, everything centers around trust. If someone doesn't trust you or your company, they're not going to buy your products. They're not going to give you money. You have to reach them with marketing, and then you have to also use marketing to build trust with them once you've reached them. There are kind of two types of marketing that you'll hear about: inbound and outbound marketing. Inbound marketing is essentially you've got people coming to you, so creating content, and they come to your, like my website, for instance, Predictable Designs. That's inbound marketing. I'm not going out and grabbing you and shoving my message in your face and forcing you to listen to me. Instead, you're finding me and coming in to my website on your own, most likely through Google or referrals. That's almost always more beneficial than outbound and going out and sort of shoving your message in front of customers. It's always better to have them come to you, and then once they come to you, then you can begin the education and trust building process. For online, you'll hear organic marketing or paid marketing. Organic marketing is just, it's free marketing. Although nothing is free, of course. It's like with organic marketing, that means someone Googles hardware development, and then they find, for me, that would be perhaps one of my blog articles. That would be organic marketing. There's no cost to it other than the cost to create that content in the first place. So that can be a significant cost or significant time. In my case, it was these articles. It takes a lot of time. That's the price. Even if you're doing it yourself, there's a price, because you could be doing something else with that time. And then paid marketing is, think of Facebook advertising or Google AdWords. Those are paid marketing. In general, my feeling is that, and this is a broad feeling, I think, in the marketing world, not just mine, but is interruption-based marketing is just doesn't do it anymore. Interruption-based marketing is, think of a TV commercial that I didn't choose to watch that commercial. It's like you're forcing me to watch it. You're interrupting what I want to be doing and making me listen to your message. And it's worked in the past, but it's not the best way to do marketing. You don't want your relationship to start with a customer by annoying them, and that's what happens. And as people have become more savvy, they've just gotten, people ignore interruption-based marketing. I do. If I'm watching a TV show or something, my wife and I, we always mute the commercials, and I will do the same thing if I'm watching a YouTube video and I'm forced to watch a commercial. Sometimes I won't even look at the screen because it's annoying me. I don't want their information seeping into my brain without my permission, that they're forcing me to do this. It's just not a good way to approach marketing. It's much better to focus on organic inbound marketing, have people find you, and then from there you can just educate and teach them and build a relationship with them. A key aspect of marketing, especially online marketing, which is where most of my experience lies and where I think most of you should focus your efforts, is online marketing, is you have to build an audience, and you have to build an audience that trusts you. So there are 3 different strategies for you to build an online audience. You can either build it. That means creating blog posts, Google finding you, people coming to your website, and then joining your newsletter or downloading your free PDF. That's the build option. That's, in almost all cases, that's the best way, but it's also the slowest and the most time consuming. The build option takes just a lot of time. That's the cost of the build option. You can also borrow, and that means basically finding an influencer online that already has an audience in your target market, and then you form some type of relationship with them, perhaps an affiliate relationship where then they present your product to their audience and sell it to them in exchange for a affiliate commission. And then there's the buy option, and that's using paid advertising. In general, you almost always, it's best to, I think, start with the build option. First of all, the borrow option, most influencers aren't going to be interested in working with you until you've got some proof and some sales, because it's a risk. They don't want to sell or recommend products to their audience that are just crap or that don't ever come out. So keep that in mind. And as far as buying an audience, you can't really buy an audience and just send them to a sales page or even a landing page to get their email address. You have to instead send them to your content that you've built. Instead of them finding you through Google, through organic search, they find you through one of your ads. They click on your ad, then they go to your content. They start learning from you, and they begin to trust you, and then they become part of your audience, and then eventually they would buy. That's the process. So even if you want to do paid advertising, and that's fine down the road, I recommend that you start with building something, all this content, build it, your audience, so that you've got something useful to send people to from your paid traffic, instead of just trying to instantly sell people. Because the one thing you will learn online is you can't hardly sell anything to anyone instantly without them having some level of trust for you. A lot of the sales that I get are people that have been following me for months or years. I get quite a bit of sales from people that have just found me and then joined the academy, for instance, but rarely is that the very first. They don't just find my website, go right to the academy and join. They first are consuming content. They learn to trust me. They see that I know what I'm talking about. And that trust building is what is just so important. And email, when I'm talking about audience building, there's so much emphasis on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And when it comes to building your online audience, it's all about email. It's like you can still do social media marketing, but your goal in most of your social media marketing should be to get those people on your email list, because email is where all the action happens. It's where it's such a more personal connection. It's like inside your inbox is your email from your brother or your mom sitting right next to the email from whoever you're following. It's just more personal. It's one-on-one versus social media being just broadcast to lots of people. Obviously, when you're emailing your audience, you're also broadcasting it out. But for them, the perception is that it's a one-to-one communication. And it commonly will turn into that. Most of the emails I send out, hey, let's reply to this. Let's start talking. And then it becomes, even though I maybe broadcast out that initial email, I'm able to quickly turn it into really a direct one-on-one conversation. Focus most of your effort on building a qualified email list and not getting Twitter followers or Facebook fans. Those are all more vanity metrics. It becomes it's really hard to sell Facebook fans or Twitter followers. It's much better and much easier just to sell people on an email list than it is to try to do that through any type of social media. Just use social media to maybe make awareness of you and your information, and from there people will come back to your website and read your content, learn to trust you, join your email list, and then that's where the relationship can really start from. A website with no content equals no traffic. You have to make that your top priority is just creating a lot of content. And this is very time consuming, no doubt about it. It requires a lot of effort, but don't fall into the trap of thinking that you need your product before you can do this. You do not. It's like start writing about whatever the topic that your product fits into that you think your potential buyers are interested in. To use a pet product again, it's a kind of an easy one to understand. But so if you have a pet product that you're working on, well, then start writing about things that pet owners find interesting or information that they need. That's how you can start building up your audience, building up your website traffic well before you actually have a product to present them. And you need to focus on teaching and educating, not selling. You can sell eventually once you have that relationship built, but it's really all about you give, and then you ask. And it's so much better than interruption-based marketing, which is just the opposite. There's no giving at all. It's just, hey, here's what we have to sell. Please buy from us. And that it doesn't work. I mean, it can work. Obviously, companies have used TV advertising for a long time, but it's not the future of marketing. The future of marketing is making marketing about the customer wanting your marketing content, not being forced to consume it. When trying to build up your audience, keep in mind that text, blog articles, and infographics also, but mainly I'm going to focus on blogs because I've not done any infographics. I mainly do, obviously, a lot of blogging. Blogging has the highest reach. It's going to get out to the most people, mainly thanks to Google once it's indexed. That's going to have the highest reach. And remember, marketing is all about reach, making awareness of your product, and building trust. Blogs are great for having the highest reach. They're also really good at building trust. That's the main type of content that I've created is blogging. And obviously, you read enough of my content and people learn to trust me and then are interested in my products and services. But that's not the aspect that blogging is typically best for. It's much harder to connect to someone on an emotional level, personal, human-to-human level by reading what they write versus audio or video has the highest trust. Audio, for instance, my podcast or videos, they won't have necessarily the highest reach. They won't bring out awareness to quite as many people as a blog will, but they tend to be much better at building trust with that person or that company. Just hearing someone's voice or seeing them or interacting with them on a more human level that includes audio and video versus just the written word is going to build more trust. I recommend both of those. High reach plus high trust equals a lot of sales. That's one of the reasons my two things that I focus on. I don't really do much video. It's done some, but it's not really, other than the courses, I don't really do much video marketing. I do video for these courses. But for marketing, I focus on the blog for reach and then also for trust building. But then the podcast that I have, Predictable Designs podcast, is really targeted at building that trust. It doesn't have near the reach of my blog. I have so many more blog readers than I have podcast listeners. But once people find my blog and are pulled in, then a lot of them will gravitate toward the podcast. And then that's where I can continue to build our relationship and build that trust. And finally, just a quick comment that marketing is also a great way to be researching for new products. It allows you to keep sort of in tune with what the market's wanting by marketing and putting your message out there and building relationships and trust with people. It keeps you involved in the market that you're trying to sell to. And that's always going to be beneficial for not only your current product, but also for future products.